Hello. Guess this is officially attempt number 2. It's gonna be about 3 minutes before we get to do anything, so sit back, relax, watch the opening, I guess. Thank you. Well, hopefully the last 2 chapters should be a lot better. Doesn't look like it's the first 2 chapters that caused me issues. So of course I'm doing the prologue of chapter 1 because the prologue is relatively short. Chapter 1 is relatively short. Plus they feel like they should go together anyway. Alright, get ready, because we're about to get started. Points to you if you actually managed to reach the entire article. So talking to her and getting those items is important. You could probably actually skip the Gaimon coin tutorial if you're good enough to avoid picking up a single Gaimon coin in the entire run. I highly recommend against it in any sort of time attack / real time attack type run, because it means that you have to kind of guarantee yourself that you can finish it without dying, and that's kind of risky just because of ambushes. More importantly, you need to talk to her in that order to get 5 heal berries, which is going to be useful pretty much throughout the entire game, surprisingly. Yes, healing, even if it gets kind of obsoleted at various points, is still useful, because Chapter 2, we're going to pick up a spell called Valiant, and what that does is it converts the HP we lost into direct damage. So having HP along with heal berries allows us to kind of control the HP range that we enter battles at. It's kind of similar to FFA if you want to think about it that way, so you can basically wander into battles at around the right limit range, and it will let you start off doing big damage. So don't bother flipping that switch up, because at the end of the prologue it automatically does it for you. So you'll save a few seconds if you don't hit that switch at the front. All it does is drop the stairs down anyway. So you do actually want to get into a random battle at some point during Gallows' prologue, but ideally you want to get into a fight that costs 2 encounter points. I think it's the cost, because that means there's going to be 2 porcupine enemies, which is the formation you want. But if all you can get is 1 porcupine, then you can fight 2 of those, I guess, and just deal with it. So the reason for fighting these is so you can pick up some gems, which you're going to use at the very start of Chapter 1 against the Guardians. So ideally you want to pick up 1 freeze or refrigerate ice gem and 1 pressure / water gem. You may have to fight some more random enemies depending on how the boss fight goes. That's why this prologue is always first. Just because if there's some sort of luck-related element and it doesn't go your way, then you kind of restart the game without too much time loss. So something else I forgot to do that's also very easy to forget because it doesn't tend to happen very early in the game. Set your battle speed to turbo. That will cause the wait time between the initiation of an action to decrease, which you see as that cancelable bar. So it doesn't look like it's a lot of time, but over the course of 9.5 hours, it'll make a big difference. Okay, so this is the part that's a bit luck-based. What has to happen is you need to get 4 water gems drop. Exactly 4. Problem is, if Gallows performs a crit, he'll automatically kill one of the enemies, and then that enemy won't drop a gem. So your goal is for a crit to never happen. Which obviously at this point in the game, or at any point in the game, you have no control over, which is very bad. Okay, we're getting the clear. Okay, extension pressure. couple of other options. You could also do, of course, Extension Refrigerate as the extension spell instead of Pressure. But there's a reason why I pick Pressure over Refrigerate, which I'll explain once we actually enter Chapter 1. For now, all you need to know is that this is basically all in preparation for the Guardian fights at the very beginning of the game. Oops, I didn't realize I had the command prompt. So after Gallows' prologue, we're probably... You can tackle, I guess, whichever prologue next that you want. Jet's prologue should definitely be last, because it's the prologue that has no random element in it, or very few random elements. Whereas Gallows has the most impact, so it should probably go first. Both Clive and Virginia's prologues has some variance to it, so... you know, you kind of have to sort out which one you want to do first. I think with the route revisions that I did, I think Virginia has more luck than Clive, so you probably want to do Virginia's next. Although generally speaking, these are all very minor time gains compared to the amount of time that you could possibly lose later on, so it's not that big of a deal at this point. It will become a much bigger issue later on when you can lose minutes and minutes of time from just basically something going badly. Well, I shouldn't say that. Most of the stuff that happens in the game, if it's bad, it's because you made a mistake. For a 9-hour run, it's actually very surprising. It has very few random elements outside of the Chapter 2 section, which is not only long, but you have no defense against ambushes. That's pretty much the most luck-reliant part of the run. Okay, so the order I have is Virginia's next. If Gallows does get that crit and you don't get the water gems and you already fought a random battle, feel free to just reset, because it actually takes a significantly longer amount of time, and it's much more dangerous too when you get to the Guardian fights if you don't have 5 water gems. I mean, after Gallows is both Virginia and Clive's prologue, you can lose some time, but, you know, they're not serious amounts of time that I would consider definitely requiring a restart. Gallows is the one that you really have to be careful of. It's time to fly. Indeed. Okay, so right off on the bat, we fight 2 gobs here, and this is partially where some of the luck already kicks in. So Virginia, on average, right now will deal about, I think it's between 26 to 30 points of damage. Oh, 23, sorry. But if she gets a very high variance shot, she'll actually hit 30 and one-shot them, which will save some time because one of the enemies won't be able to take turns. Of course, once she actually has FP, this is no longer an issue. Ooh, nice Hueberry. Ah, shit. Yes, you noticed that in Gal's prologue we also didn't pick up any of the gems. It's because it's not necessary. Okay, so we do have to activate the switch. Inside that chest we're going to pick up in the other rooms the mini carrot, which will become very important soon. By the way, almost every single chest in this game that contains a mini carrot you should be getting, because they formulate a very big part of your strategy, especially later on. So we'll see if you stick around for the entire run throughout the week. Okay, don't bother grabbing those other crates, because those will disappear once you grab this chest, which has the duplicator in it. Ah, shit. Not by the door. Okay, here's where most of the luck in this prologue resides. Which is actually very similar to Clive's, as you will see once we get there. So, in order to beat this fight, all you have to do is to use Gatling. The way Gatling works is it requires you to fire 2 shots. So you always need to have at least 40 FP before you can win this battle. And the fastest way to do that is, of course, if Virginia manages to dodge a few times. If she doesn't, like she gets hit twice right off the bat, then you have to heal. And that significantly slows things down. Whereas she dodges like this, we basically get a very fast kill. Ta-da! We're done. It is possible to be actually much slower on this particular split, because if Virginia gets hit several times, then you have to heal, then you have to shoot, then you have to heal, etc. And it just takes longer because you only build 6 FP a shot, whereas if you dodge, you get basically 12 FP compared to just the 1 FP you get normally when you get hit. So you build FP significantly faster if she manages to evade. So that's the luck portion related to that. Generally, I think the amount of time that you can possibly lose is up to a minute if it goes really bad. Like, she basically never dodges a single time. Personally, I have never seen Virginia never dodging once. Sometimes she'll only dodge once, but even if she only dodges once, it's going to save a lot more time. Just because 1 evade is equivalent to 2 shots. Yeah, it's about a minute. Because usually the prologues take about 10 minutes each. If they're done well, if they're not done as well, like you get bad luck in pretty much all of them, it's about 45 minutes. So as you can see, that took only about 8 maybe. So that was a pretty fast time overall. Now we're going to get to do Clive's. And no, I'm not going to pull out the YOLO strats for Clive. If you decide to pull out the YOLO strats for Clive, you should probably do his second. Alright. Now on to Clive's prologue. AKA the one who's going to carry the team for pretty much the entire game. Clive's prologue can also actually be one of the shortest. I think generally Gallus is just going to be the longest prologue because you do have to at least tangle with one random encounter. Okay, right off the bat, we're going to talk to him 3 times. Exactly 3 times. And then we go away. You can talk to him 3 times for 3 heal berries, so obviously we're going to do that because it's easy. Talking to him more than 3 times does nothing, because he has no more berries to give you. Just go back here and pick up the revived fruits as well, and try your best to avoid touching those plants, because if you do, you're going to spawn a dialogue about how to use bombs, and then Clive's going to go into a speech about how he has to bomb them to get past them, and that's going to waste a few seconds. Clive is the best. Carries team, cares about nothing. Okay, so like all the other prologue battles, Goldrake is also another type of scripted battle. Except the trigger for this one is not so much more different as much as it takes longer. You can't auto kill it like in Virginia's once you have an FFP. You have to actually do enough damage first to get the trigger. And that's only the first part. Okay, so what we're gonna do, attack 3 times, once unarmed, then we're gonna reload. Okay. After Clive reloads, we're gonna shoot, then the tutorial about lock-on's gonna pop up, and we're gonna use lock-on. while I have the time, I'll explain a bit about lock-on as well, because the description is a little bit not very clear. Basically, lock-on is an attack that has 100% accuracy, so it ignores enemy evade, but it doesn't exactly double power. What it does is it subtracts 25 FP from your FP score, and then it adds 100. So your net effect is actually plus 75 FP to the attack. And if you're at basically any FP value other than 0, it's not going to be a double of your attack power. So it's not exactly right. If your FP is at very high levels, lock-on is actually going to be weaker than using a standard shot, just because of the way that attack works. So, you generally speaking, don't really want to use lock-on unless you're fighting something that has massive amounts of evasion that you need to ignore. But we will actually use it several times during the course of this run, because, you know, obviously we're going in for speed. So, spending the FP, if you can think of it as like a graph, if you attack normal every time, it's going to be 6 FP, and then 6% stronger every turn, whereas with 25 FP lock-on, basically once you have 25 FP, you scale it up to do pretty much double the power for that one turn, and then go back down to 0. When's the single segment? Probably not until some sort of marathon event where I get this game in, because I normally don't have 9.5 hours of time to sit down and play through the game. Virginia does nuke a couple of bosses in this game, but for most part, Clive's gonna do the carrying. Just partially because Clive is the best boss fighter on the team. Gallows is pretty decent as well, but Clive's the guy that you want to do most of the stuff with. Basically, anytime you're fighting an enemy or a monster that doesn't have an elemental weakness, Clive's going to be your best bet. And then once you get attachment, or Virginia has Mystic and it's the right corresponding element, then Clive also wins. Alright, so this particular fight is where the luck-based portion comes in. It's also part of the YOLO strats if you want to try it. You basically actually never have to heal poison in this battle, because he only does it once, and you can actually kill him before the poison kills you. But there's two problems. One is that, as I found out the hard way, if the damage variance on your lock-on shots is too low, then you actually won't hit, and the poison will kill you. On the other hand, if oh, there we go. On the other hand, if he hits you at any time, you have to heal. Okay, one more. And yes, he's not very accurate, which is why the YOLO strat could potentially work. Although all that does is it's going to save like maybe 4 to 8 seconds, because it saves one attack. Alright, Clive's prologue is done. Okay, then up next is Jet. Then more gonna be done the prologues forever. Done the prologues forever. And also, this is a late split. Should I split as soon as the screens turn sepia? But whatever. As I mentioned, Jet's prologue should probably actually be last, just because there's not a whole lot of luck factors involved in this one as there is in the other ones. So if you've gotten like a good Virginia time and a good Gallows time, then you pretty much are set to do Chapter 1. By the way, if you want to practice movement in this game and you have any interest of trying to speedrun it ever, this is the perfect area to practice your running. Oh, shit. I screwed up. I'm bad. How does that work? How do you manage to like Jet, but you don't like him in general? I mean, I rag on Jet all the time because his stats are bad. I had to move a little bit there because I overshot the boomerang. If I had just stood there, it would have hit a wall and I'll have to do it again. Make sure to grab that chest, by the way, because you're going to need the money to upgrade Clive's arm at the very beginning of Chapter 1. Well, not the very beginning, but basically very shortly after you get the Guardians. See, the fact that he's tried so hard just makes me want to mock him some more. I don't really care about Jet as a character overall. And the good thing is, in this run, for the first chapter, he's pretty much expendable, even though you want to keep everybody alive most of the time. But if someone's gonna have to die, you sacrifice Jet first, which is perfectly okay with me. Oh yes, so here come the greats. The greats. The greats. Fuck these things forever. You have no idea how much I hate those things. Basically, once you start speedrunning, you understand my hatred of those things in general. Oh shit. That's not supposed to happen. I might have to heal. Hopefully I didn't lose too much HP. So those are just more hue berries. Again, you want to grab those. Just because if something goes wrong, that's all you have as a backup. I guess if you're talking about character, maybe. I don't really buy it. I think he's definitely the weakest guy in the cast. Both in terms of character and obviously in gameplay. He is bad in gameplay. Okay, this is another trigger battle. All you have to do is to get Accelerator to go off, and then you automatically win. So you want to try to avoid healing as much as possible because you don't want to waste your heal berries. Only problem is, he does that, and it deals significantly more damage than his physical. Okay, I didn't get the proc. That's bad. But there wasn't much I could do about it, because I only had 24 FP. Blah blah blah, accelerated tutorial. Fuck off, Jet. You useless piece of shit. Okay, we're done. So I'm gonna lose a bit of time there, because I didn't get the fast kill. If you get the fast kill, you don't basically get the accelerator tutorial, and you don't get the speech boxes from Jet saying about how, oh, I'm gonna make you eat lead before you can heal and all that good stuff. So accelerator, as you may or may not know if you ever played the Wild Arms series, it basically sets Jet's reflex to basically absolute priority, because I'm pretty sure it doesn't treat it as a stat number. All it really does is say, okay, Jet's going first now. So it makes him lead off the turn order, even if you do some sort of manual turn ordering. So you just have to keep that in mind. The other thing it does, which is not mentioned, is that when Accelerator goes off, the attack that Jet performs ignores defense. So it can actually increase the amount of damage that he deals if he's just attacking normally. But keep in mind that any attack that he does, like Clive's lock-on, functions at 25 FP lower because the damage is calculated after the FP is subtracted. For whatever reason, they decided that was a good idea. Almost got it perfect there. Not quite, though. If only Maya could join the party? I guess so. Then she has to bring her entourage with us. Which I guess is okay, because shady. Okay, that was a decent prologue overall. Looks like the final time's gonna be about 41:30 or so. Oh, a bit faster, 41:20. So that's a pretty good prologue. Again, typical prologue, if you have some bad luck in it, it's probably going to be more around 45-ish. So 41 is pretty good. I think in the last time attack I did, I got like a 40-something, which is absolutely nuts. So I mainly lost time in, I think it's just Jet's prologue, because I got the entire accelerator tutorial to go off, which you shouldn't. And now, another, I think, 3 to 5 minutes of cutscenes. Okay, we're on to Chapter 1, finally. So we're gonna get a full party, which is basically the 4 prologue characters, in case you couldn't tell. And we're gonna be sticking with that party throughout the next 9.5 hours of the game, more or less. 9 hours, sorry, not 9.5. 9.5 will mean it will take 10 hours, and that would mean that the run is absolute crap. So I guess before, well, I guess we officially get all the characters, let's go over them very briefly. Just so, I guess everybody who's watching, who may not have an understanding of Wild Arms 3, kind of understands what's going on. So, we have all 4 characters, Virginia, Jet, Clive, and Gallows. Virginia is the fastest character. Her best stats are going to be speed, evasion, and aim. Her worst stats are all physical related, so HP, attack, and defense. Her magic is passable, it's second best, but it's not significantly strong. It's actually noticeable weaker than Gallows, but it's still passable, it's decent. And her arm specialty is more towards weight. She starts off with a 20 FP per shot Gatling, so we're going to take advantage of that because it is actually the lowest FP cost per Gatling at the very start. And she starts off with 5 bullets. So she's very much a support-laden character, but she does get her moments in this run, especially once we get Valiant, because that is going to basically give her sort of like a nuke, because it's going to transform that damage and apply it to every shot, especially during a Gatling, so you can get lots of damage off very quickly. Jet is next, I guess. So he's the game's kind of balanced overall character, except they kind of made him be bad at everything that matters, more or less. So his best stats are actually defense, evasion, and speed, for whatever reason. Those stats, as you probably notice, don't really mesh well. Not a lot of synergy. So, and his arm doesn't really have any sort of specialty at all. So he's just kind of a middleman. But of course, being a middleman in this game is still not a terrible proposition. So, being a warm body in this game still has its uses. Next, we go to Clive. He's our offensive powerhouse, so his best stats are attack, defense, and aim. And his worst stat, by a notable margin, is speed. Basically, Clive is never going to outspeed a single enemy in this entire game. And with the speed medium, that boosts speed by 30% at the start, he's going to outspeed maybe 2 enemies at the most. It's a noticeable weakness, but the rest of his stats are actually so good that they usually don't matter. Finally, Gallows is our mage. He has the highest HP, highest magic, and the highest magic resistance. So, spells in this game obviously take longer than just using a physical attack. So whenever possible, we might still want to shoot rather than use an attack early on, just because FP does affect all forms of offense, and the only way to build FP without taking damage or evading is by shooting. Gallows' arm, by the way, is absolute crap. We're only really going to upgrade it at the very end, and that's only because we need to find a quick way to dump ammo, and weight becomes kind of the solution that we have. If you actually have more carrots and you decide to kind of save your carrots, you don't necessarily need to increase or rather decrease Gallows' weight per shot on his weapon. It's the highest notable at 30 FP per Gatling. But if you do improve that, you can obviously get it to more manageable levels, which we need to do for the purposes of making the final boss doable with the strategy that we have set out. So that's all 4 characters. I've already talked about Lock-On from Clive and Accelerator from Jet. Extension we've already seen in action, so what that does is it applies a magic attack or spell to an affected group. If it's on your allies, it's always going to hit everybody. If it's on enemies, it's dependent on group, so A, B, C, D, E, etc. If it's not in a group, then it won't hit all the enemies. So the effect is applied at minus 25 FP, again, like all abilities. And finally, we're going to get the tutorial for Virginia's very quickly. But the one thing the tutorial doesn't tell us about is that Mystic can actually be used on a whole host of other items. The most notable of which is rings. When it's applied to a ring, it functions like the attachment spell. So very early on, when enemies have weaknesses, but we don't have attachment, Virginia can actually mystic the ring to Clive and give his attack an element, and he'll start doing triple damage, which of course is very notable. It makes him very, very strong. So for most of the fights in the first chapter, Clive is basically going to do all the heavy lifting. Gallows will contribute, but most of the show is going to center around Clive. Virginia at this point is still too frail, so most of the battles is just going to be her defending. Jet's going to attack and defend and occasionally heal Virginia. So he, again, being the middleman, gets to do everything else in between. Whereas Clive and Gallows are going to focus most of their attention on offense. So the only target you need to kill in this fight is Janus. Don't bother trying to hit anybody else because it's not worth your time. Yeah, notice how Clive is taking 0 damage. This fight's not really losable. You might lose Virginia, everybody else can die, but Clive really can't. It's not a fight that you can lose. So once you actually have 10 FP, Gallows just start using spells, because it's more effective. And I'm not going to bother to reload because Janus should be dead pretty soon. Yep. The main risk in that battle is Virginia might die, and Romero goes before Virginia. So if she's damaged enough, there's a chance that she might get killed. And you want to avoid that. If she dies very early on, it's going to be difficult for her to start picking up the pace again. So now the game officially starts us off on Chapter 1, even though I technically consider that last fight part of Chapter 1. Or, sorry, the prologue. Just because of the fact that you get that fight where Clive can't really die, so it's kind of silly. By the way, don't be afraid to blow your heal berries, because most of them are going to be used mainly during Chapter 1 and the early portions of Chapter 2. We're really going to actually not use healing items, like, around midway through Chapter 2. And most of Chapter 3 for that matter. Like, you should still probably pick them up just to have some sort of insurance. But don't be stingy. Alright, Chapter 1 starts now. So as the story kind of hint to us, we have to go back and visit Baskar Village. At this point, it is also the only town or only place you can go to other than Fallen Sanctuary, which you can't really do anything in anyway, so you more or less are forced to go back here. Your fallback in case something goes wrong in Chapter 1 is to triple stack Clive with mediums. At this point in the game, Clive is so strong that if you triple stack him, he will literally carry the team on his back. It is actually very difficult to lose when you start triple stacking characters, and just because Clive already starts off so strong, if you triple stack him, it's pretty much insurance that you'll make it out. Of course, for the purposes of doing a speedrun, don't rely on this particular strategy. It should only be used as a fallback if basically things go horribly wrong. Alright, and we're off to the Fallen Sanctuary. So, if you've played up to this part of the game, you might remember what all this is about. At this point, basically, the Gallows' grandmother tells you to fight the Guardians, to get their power, etc. So you start off with 4 Guardians: Fire, Wind, Earth, and Water. Now the order you can do these fights is completely up to you. There's no set order that the game forces you to do, so you need to make an active choice of which one you want to tackle. The route that I have developed, and I checked this over with, I guess, the Japanese artillery runners, is that basically we all prefer to do water first, but I know Chaos has a route that actually does fire first and goes for ice. The biggest difference, and the reason why the Japanese artillery runners and myself prefer to do wind first, is that doing wind first gives Virginia and Jet a higher chance to survive all of the other Guardian fights, and that is a huge difference. So that's kind of the trade-off you have to make. I think if you start off with the fire first, though, the one advantage you do get is you probably have an extra fire gem lying around somewhere when all this is said and done. So when you fight Tarrasque at the end of Chapter 1, you don't have to spend a turn attacking to build FP because you can just use gems. So Wind is always located on the west, or left, basically. And all the Guardians also have set patterns. Basically every turn, starting from the first, they will use their big, medium summon attack. So at this point, because Virginia is obviously frail, and Jet is bad on magic defense, you want both of them to guard, and Gallows and Clive will be the ones who do most of the attacking. Again, Clive has kind of good stats everywhere else. His only bad stat is speed. So the fact that he's using gems is actually not big of a surprise. His magic stat is actually only slightly underneath Virginia's, so it's actually very passable as well. Okay, do nothing, shoot, do nothing, water gem. Now, if you use your water jewels correctly, this one should kill him. And you'll get the medium tutorial. Gonna do Earth next, and it's just for experience. Earth is the easiest one of the 4. But you don't start off with any wind attacks. That's kind of why you have to pick one of the other ones first. And Gallows doesn't have enough FP right now, so I'm gonna have to make him shoot. Oh, I'm sorry, I lied. It looks like Grudev is actually slower than level 7 Clive, which is impressive, because I think Clive right now has about 11 speed or something like stupid like that. My bad, 17 speed. So Grudev will always counter with Mega Smash, except his accuracy is absolute shit. So chances are, when he does that attack, he's going to miss. So you should actually feel very free to just start attacking him. Okay, since this fight is going to last a bit longer, definitely going to make Clive reload. Vortex doesn't care about shield, so that ignores defense, which is why it dealt slightly more damage. He's protected by shield though, so not quite the full amount that you would get, but still pretty good. Okay, he's dead. And this fight is where you may start having casualties. Because Shultark is very strong on magic. And his accuracy is slightly better than that of Grudev, so he will actually connect with his counters from time to time. Ah, Jet might die. Nope. That might kill. Yep. Okay, Fury Rage has the same problem with Shultark, which is why it's recommended you do the other two first. This guy also counters and he hits really hard. So at this point it's more about just getting through it than anything else. So Gallus is barely alive. Oh, crit. Shit. There we go. No. Ice Gem, shoot, Healberry, Refrigerate. Alright, we're done. I think overall I am behind by about a minute. So Reichman is the trigger to continue the story. Since we have to talk to him anyway, we're gonna buy some consumables, which we may end up using, which is basically So before we head to Jolly Roger though, we're going to explore the field a bit. I'm going to start doing this technique once I cross the bridge called the slide walk. So what that does is you cancel out of the run animation as soon as you kind of see your character to move, and that puts them into a sliding state where they will carry the momentum from a run. The advantage of doing this is that while you're sliding, the counter for the random encounters doesn't go up. So it's actually within the first 2 frames where the encounter kind of locks itself, and then if you slide, then it also won't increase. So, you know, if you're really, really good, you could, in theory, slide through the entire game without getting a single random encounter. The problem with that is the running stance is only active for about, I think, 2 frames. And the game is about 9 hours long, so you have to be able to kind of carry this out for around 9 hours, which is absolutely crazy, so there's no way anybody's really capable of doing that. So right off the bat, that's why we need all that money for. Gonna give Clive 1 of everything. 1 bullet, 1 crit, and 1 shot. Then we're gonna do this chat. You have to have 150 bucks left over, so don't go crazy on your spending either. Might be tempting to do some upgrades for Jet as well, but hold off on that thought. By the way, pay attention to Clive in the background. Jet is admitting the fact that he's bad at there's other people involved. Bad against competition. Anyways, more important things. Okay, so don't exit yet, because we have to explore the bar as well. Go to the back room. The very first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna check the boxes back here. There's a heal berry by the barrel, and a mini carry out here. Grab both. Once inside, go into the side room down here to pick up a dragon fossil. Which, by the way, we do need 16 by the time we get to Sandcraft, so don't go skimping out on dragon fossils. So during the early parts of the game, your encounter gauge is actually kind of low. So the slide walk technique has its uses, because you can kind of stretch out the length of time that you have to get into an encounter. And that in turn means that you can go longer without an encounter. The trade-off, of course, is that it's not as fast as normal running. But for the purposes of getting to the ruins without getting to a single encounter to use up our gauge already, I'm going to engage in doing some slide walking. Then we're just going to head to the back. So you can actually run into the glass. Even though that logic doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It is actually faster to obviously run into the glass than to wait for your bombs to explode. So, go ahead. Run into as much glass as you want. Ignore the fact that in real life this would hurt like nuts. So at this point, if you used up most of your ECN, you can exit out the door to the side there. Alright. We're done with this dungeon. Time for the boss. So take the immediate redeployment, put Gale Claw onto Jet, Fury Rage onto Clive, and Terror Roar onto Virginia. Set counterattack, critical hit, and ATT blocker, and then we're good to go. So, to my understanding, I believe Romero and Darren will have infinite HP until you kill Janus. So you should obviously go for him first. The only thing that attack really scares is Virginia, who we're going to be making defend for pretty much the entire fight. Putting Gale Claw on Jet makes him faster than Janus. Normally he's going to be slower, so that just lets him take an action beforehand. Okay, so Janus is dead. So, when Clive has to reload, and Gallus has 25 FP, take a moment to basically strip Fury Rage from Clive, because now Gallus is going to get better at offense. And because Dario has Protect, which is going to slow everybody else down, we're going to remove that with 100% Fragile. Then we're going to wreck him. Heal self, lock on Dario, accelerator, shoot Dario, shit. Hit the wrong guy, whatever. Gonna have to hit him eventually anyway. Watch out. 11 damage. Shit. Okay, Dario's dead. Fragile also has a chance of working on Romero, but it's only, I believe, 75%. And because when it whiffs, it sucks, you're better off using Devastate. Plus, you know, Romero doesn't start off with Protect, he starts off with Evasion Boost. And that is the end of Janus and Co. Fight number 2. And now you have to waltz all the way back. Again, slide walking, very important. Just kind of delaying when the random encounters kick in. If you are really low on ECN, make sure to stop by the inn and rest at this point. Otherwise, talk to this guy. Make sure to press the ask, otherwise the train station won't open. Now once you do that, we're going to take the train and we're going to go to Claiborne. Okay, in order to get Claiborne to open up as well, once you get off the train, make sure you chat with the attendant. This one you don't need the ask system for. Then we're going to stagger step, or stutter step all the way to Claiborne as well. At this point, it gets kind of weird. I believe in order to open up the correct trigger, you actually have to visit the inn anyway. Just chat with her, and then you talk with Martina. Then you go back out, and you talk to Desiree, and she should tell you that a group of drifters have wandered into the ruins to the east, which is going to be your cue of, oh, that's Maya and Co. in Serpent's Coil. There's a bunch of stuff you have to pick up around town too, so... There we go, there's the trigger. There's a mini carrot by the barrel here, make sure to pick it up. If you haven't talked to Roigman and picked up those pinwheels, now's a good time to do so. And I'm gonna get another bullet for Clive. Sell the Geller card. And we'll leave the rest. You're gonna have to get another little shot by the by Cudingle, so hold on to everything. Okay, again, stutter step. It's very important at this point, just because you don't really have the ECN to blow. There's a couple of chests in this room. There's also a tracker, which is unique to this dungeon, just because it's such a maze. But you only need to grab the money. You can activate the tracker if you want, though, but you should be able to do this off by heart if you're actually trying to speedrun this game. Okay, so that's the other side we have to get to. So you have to redo that in case the name of the dungeon wasn't clear. Just go around in circles. There's also 3 empty chests here, which are basically picked up by Maya and her team. Which, if you're doing some sort of 100% run, you have to open anyway. Shit. I meant to hit the other chest. Obviously, the Gaimo coin wasn't supposed to be one of them. Also go in here, because there are 2 very important chests you have to grab. So the first is a Migrant Seal, and then Clear Chime. By the way, do not miss out on the Clear Chime, or you will be sorry. So you don't actually have to hit the switch over there. Go into this room, then go back out. Again, the name of the dungeon should have been a hint of what you have to do. Just basically a bunch of loops. Okay, we're gonna have to do something, again, little, probably unorthodox that most people don't or haven't seen before. And I'll explain why you have to set all this up in a second. Just hope that Virginia manages to live, which might be a little tricky. Oh, hooray. Thank you for wasting my time. Bam. Ta-da! We're done. Okay, so I'll explain what I did during that fight there. So, all you have to do for that battle is kill Maya. And Chaos figured out very quickly that the quickest way of doing that was to do a Gatling with Clive. And we pretty much figured out that, okay, if you equip Fury Rage and have 75 FP with 3 bullets, you're guaranteed to get the kill. The issue is that you have to deal with Todd, who is a complete asshole in that fight because he has Psycho Crack, which can confuse you. Now, if somebody gets confused, they're not going to perform the action that you want, and in fact, the mini carrot may actually go somewhere else. So, to avoid that, you only have one confusion ward, and in the initial routing stages, we didn't really have a good idea of what to do around it. Then I watched a Japanese RTA runner, and then the most amazing thing happened. So when you set a character to auto battle, their command gets inputted at the time when their turn actually takes place instead of at the very beginning. So they don't have the sight blindness, so to speak, that a normal human player does. So they can always use a pinwheel if somebody gets confused, or always heal themselves if they're sufficiently injured. So that's why you set Virginia onto auto battle. Of course, you don't need it now, so I'll take that off. And we're back to something we're a lot more used to. This time, it's a little bit different. Again, you have to kill... Well, you have to kill all three of them. But the trick is, you can't target Janus anymore, because he will activate Auto Defender and waste your time. So you have to gun for his cohorts first. It doesn't really matter who you want to go after. By the way, that crit is going to save like 30 seconds. And it's pretty much the exact same strategy. When you have 20 FP with Gallows, switch Fury Rage off of Clive and give it to Gallows, and then he will be able to use it with Devastate. Oh, he might die. Nope, 9 HP. We're good. Get wrecked. Okay. So now the only thing Janus can do is multi-blast. Or you can waste your time doing that, that's the other thing you can do. Also, it's not worth blowing Accelerator on Romero, because Romero has evade. Also, he's dead. Oh no, right, I don't have critical hit, unfortunately. Ow. Okay, he's dead. So now we're left to Janus. I believe he was 75% vulnerable. Might be lower. Nope, it's just vulnerable. Crit. GG. Thank you, Valzin. The end of Chapter 1 is actually coming up. And with it, probably the hardest fight so far the game has thrown at us. It's not too bad, but it's definitely tricky. I don't think there will ever really be a time when I can do a single segment run of this game. Not because I don't want to, but it's just because I won't ever have time for it. Because I need to take 9.5 hours out of my day to do that. And I don't see myself having that time anytime soon. If I get this into some sort of marathon, then I'll definitely have an excuse to do it, so... Okay, so go to the Armsmith. And we're gonna sell a lot of things. Basically, just need enough to upgrade Clive's shot to level 2, and we're good to go. Seems weird that we're gonna not buy the horses right now, but don't, because we're gonna get the money for the horses in Kadingle. It's much more important to have your extra level of shot at this time for the boss fight at the end of Chapter 1. Yes, we're up to Kadingle Anchor. Whoa, the hell happened there? Okay, make sure I also grab the duplicator. That's very important. So even though this takes a little bit of time, you want to do it anyway because there's money. There's a duplicator inside that room, which you're going to need both of. Less so the Guillemot coin, but you might as well pick it up since you're in the same room. Cost maybe a second. That way if when you ride to some sort of random ambush or random danger battle, you have a chance to continue on the spot. Not to say that it will necessarily happen, just that there is a chance of it happening. Also, almost ran off, which would have been very, very bad. Okay, let's deal with this one. So you have to split your two mediums apart. Everybody shoots round one because you can't do anything else. You have to wait for your guys to have enough FP before you can really start attacking the boss. Okay, then we're gonna manual jet Gallows Virginia Clive, and well, not that really they're gonna do anything. So your first order of business: cast fire, and then afterwards cast ice. And Tarrasque will counter these with an attack called Biomissile, which will deal about 120 to 140 points of damage. So I usually just get Jet and Gallows to attack because they have higher, well, 1 higher defense and 2 higher HP than Virginia. So they can afford to take the counter. Just gonna lucky card there because I don't want to forget. I wouldn't worry about Toxic Breath. It's a little too slow in this fight to matter. So after this, Tarrasque's defense goes from 999 to 0. So don't bother casting Fragile. Just wail on him. The only thing you have to be aware of, when he poisons you, he also auto-counters any physical. So if your guy doesn't dodge and he's already poisoned, they might die. But of course, if he decides to attack the same person, obviously it doesn't matter. Check out that damage! Holy hell! I guess you can use a Gallo card in that fight if you really want to double your earnings. But I don't think it really matters at this point. Not because you don't need the money, but there are more important fights to use Gallo cards on, so... Okay. I don't remember what's in that chest. Right over there. But that chest, very far away, actually has a mini carrot. But that one's not worth getting, because you have to climb through all the grates, drop down, climb through all the grates again, just to reach the exit. So, tends not to be really worth the effort. Also go right first, because you have to pick something up on this side before you go to the left. And if you haven't picked up a duplicator yet, then, well, you're in trouble. Ah, shit. Don't miss the mini carry here. we're not gonna see those guys until the ending. Guess they're kind of like Beavis and Butthead, so to speak. Alright, let's get the show on the road. So, stack Clive. Oops, that's the wrong skill. Shield self, shoot, do nothing, mini carrots, Clive. The Japanese RTA actually blows, I think it's like 2 or 3 mini carrots here, but since we used that on the Maya fight instead of this one, we can't afford to blow that many mini carrots here, so I'm going to use 1. This is basically Clive versus Janus. The other 3 characters don't do anything because Janus auto counters absolutely every attack with something else. So, to save time and our own skins, we're just going to let him do his thing. And then Clive is going to solo him. Bam! 700 damage. So yes, them counters. Oh yeah, he also starts using Rising Nova once he loses about half his HP. Also hurts like hell, by the way. Oh, she's dead. But of course, Clive's a tank. So, no fucks are given. And we're done. Even though Virginia is dead, we can deal. Ta-da! And we're done chapter 1. So, let it be on record that it took us 1 hour and 53 minutes and 35 seconds so far. Part 2 which is basically just going to be Chapter 2, I'll probably do tomorrow. It will probably be a little bit earlier than tonight, so instead of starting at about 9:30, we're probably going to start at somewhere around 8 to 8:30, just because it takes 3.5 hours, and I do want to get sleep. So, that is it for today. This is a time attack, not a real time attack, unfortunately, because I don't have 9.5 hours to spend. I do really wish I do. If you can afford to pay me, I may consider it, because right now I spend 8 hours at my work, because I need to do that in order to make a living. So, that is it for me for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see, I guess, most of you tomorrow if you decide to stick with Part 2, and if not, well, it was fun having you around for Part 1. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you all later.